Applications are now being accepted for eligible new purchases closing on today, January 11th, 2016, or after. One of the important notes is that the mortgage credit certificate funding will be available on a first come, first served basis until funds are expended. As our fourth consecutive year of offering this program to Iowa home buyers, we know that the 2016 program will be incredibly popular and will help a lot of Iowans. In the previous 3 years we have offered this program, it has assisted more than 2,000 families in Iowa on their federal taxes, and that translates to an estimated $3.4 million of savings for Iowa homeowners this year, and we're eager to help even more home buyers in the years this year to come, 2016. Interested home buyers should contact a Take Credit participating lender. The lender listing is available at iowafinanceauthority.gov. Home buyers must be pre-approved for the mortgage tax credit prior to closing. That's an important thing to note. After the mortgage has been closed with an IFA Take Credit participating lender, IFA will issue the homeowner a mortgage credit certificate. The homeowner in turn may use the certificate to claim the credit on their annual federal taxes. This federal tax incentive is in addition to IFA's other affordable mortgage and down payment assistance programs that sometimes can be paired depending on eligibility. The Iowa Finance Authority is not a direct lender. This is a public-private partnership where we work with private lenders to make the mortgages and then issue the mortgage credit certificate. This successful public-private partnership allows us to offer unique programming and give Iowans the convenience of working with their local lenders, all with the shared goal of enhancing the quality of life for Iowans through home ownership. So thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Jameson, thank you. We'd be glad to answer your questions on this subject first. Questions? Yes, sir.
That's the cumulative number, but that's this year's estimate of the financial impact. So 3.4 million of federal income taxes for those 2,000 plus families this tax year. So it'll be 2015 filing.
Yeah, the neat thing about this, it grows each year.
Yes.
As you have more years that you have people involved in this. Okay. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, this is not that. This is totally different than that. This is a program that was originated by Ronald Reagan in tax reform in 1984. Just so there's no confusion. This is not Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae. No, not at all. Not at all. This is a program that's been around since the tax reform that Reagan passed in 84. Other questions on this subject? Okay. Thank you, Dave. Other questions? Well, I have in the past, and I'm going to reserve judgment on that as I do on other issues, seeing what form it takes and what kind of impact it would have on the Iowa economy. My focus is on bringing more good-paying jobs to Iowa and raising incomes for families in the state. So that's what we primarily focused on. But I have in the past signed increases in the minimum wage. I'm aware that some other states have done that. But I also am cognizant of if you raise the minimum wage too much, you actually destroy jobs. We don't want to do that. Well, that's a local decision. Well, yeah, I guess, and as I understand it, communities within that county have chosen not to go along with it. No, no, no. If you listen to what I said before, I said I will reserve judgment on anything that's proposed in the legislature until I see it in its final form. I'm recommending 2.45%. That's the same level I recommended last year. Also, funding for the teacher leadership and compensation program. So my recommended increase, which will be in the budget tomorrow, is like $145 million more for K through 12 public education. Considering the fact that revenues have been reduced, the December revenue estimate has been reduced, I think this is an extraordinary commitment, especially in light of the fact that we've had to reduce spending in many other areas of the budget. 2.45, and that's what I recommended last year. Yes, it includes both. And by the way, this is the third installment on the teacher leadership and compensation. So it makes it possible for every school district in the state next year to have this available. And then it rolls in. It's a standing appropriation, unlike phase three, which we did back when I was governor before, and the legislature chipped away at that. They can't do that because it's a standing appropriation. And so this becomes a permanent part of the commitment we've made to improve student achievement by rewarding teachers that take on more responsibility. Right. 145 million. That's for 2017 fiscal year. Yes. Well, Democrats always want to spend more money, but I think this shows this is what I recommended last year. And this year, revenue is down from what we anticipated would be last year. So I think this shows that we have made an extraordinary commitment to reduce spending in other areas in order to do this. Now I would point something out. The next biggest item in the budget is Medicaid. And even with implementing managed care for Medicaid, Medicaid spending is still going up. If we fail to do managed care for Medicaid, it will virtually eat up all of the revenue growth and there'll be no money for education. Yes. Well, you'll see my budget tomorrow. And you'll see it's a very tight budget, and many agencies have a status quo budget, and we've reduced in some other areas and look for ways that we can find economies, but that's our responsibility. I'm proud to say that Iowa is now the third best managed state in the entire United States because of what we've done to restore fiscal responsibility. And we've done that since we came back in 2011, and we're in a strong fiscal position. We also have restored all the money that's been taken from the cash reserve and economic emergency account. Now, we've gone through the bird flu. We know that thanks to the EPA and what they've done to reduce the renewable fuel standard, that farm commodity prices are below the cost of production. And that's had an impact on our budget. So it's a tight budget, but I think it shows that we made an extraordinary commitment to education as part of it. And I hope that the legislature will make an early decision on a supplemental state aid and not spend the whole session fighting over it. We need to focus on the future, on things that we can do to grow the economy, bring more good jobs here, reward teachers that take on more responsibility to improve student achievement. My message is we should not spend the whole session fighting. We should instead reach a reasonable consensus on supplemental state aid. Schools, they really want to know how much. They don't want to have a repeat of last year. I don't want to focus on the past. I want to focus on the future. I think we put together a reasonable and very significant commitment, and most of the new money is going to K through 12 public education. No, there's no surprise. I think I've done a pretty good job of visiting with legislators about the tough decisions we have to make, and we we've, in fact, Pat Grassley at breakfast this morning thanked me for the extraordinary collaboration and discussions that he's already had with David Roeder on the budget issues. So, but I think everybody knows December revenue estimate has been reduced, and December revenues actually were below expectations. So we got a tight budget. We all need to work together to meet our responsibilities and do it in a responsible way and avoid the uncertainty that we had in the past when they overpromised and then underdelivered and we had across the board cuts. I don't want to see that ever happen again. I think 53 million of it is teacher leadership. Approximately 53 million is teacher leadership, and the rest is supplemental state aid. It'll all be in the details in the budget tomorrow, but from my recollection, it's about 53 million is the third installment of the teacher leadership and compensation program, which is over 150 million total. That's right. And that's, as you know, that was phased in over 3 years. We had one planning year, and then we had last year, this year, and then my budget for next year will complete that. And I'm really proud of the fact that even though it's not mandatory, every school district in the state has applied for this teacher leadership and compensation money. Yes, the reading initiative, I think there's money in the budget for the, what's it called? The, right. So there's money in the budget for the Iowa Reading Research Center. Yes. And that program, by the way, has been well received and is being utilized by both public and non-public schools in the state. Pre-K through 12. Well, I want them to wait and see the budget. So that's, I would just encourage legislators to wait and see the details of the budget. We've made some tough decisions in other areas, and you'll get to see that. They'll get to see all of that tomorrow. I know by law I don't have to present this until the end of January, but I'm going to try to do everything I can to facilitate their being able to make early decisions on these important budget matters. And we have tried to meet with our leadership and meet with the key appropriations and ways and means people on these issues early on, so there won't be any surprises. And so the Republicans in the House understand that we have done the best we can to retain fiscal responsibility, but also to offer an opportunity to improve education and reward teachers that take on more responsibility. Well, I'm not going to, first of all, wait until you see the budget, right? I think wait till you see the budget and see the numbers that we present. And I'm going to tell you, we've worked long and hard on this. We've spent, and we've had many, many meetings, and I wondered how in the world we're going to make this budget balanced, but we have. And no, well, first of all, we are not dipping into the cash reserve or economic emergency account. And no, and we are abiding by the spending limitation. So we're doing all of those things. Well, I'm not going to get into the weeds on this stuff, just to say that, first of all, you'll have it all tomorrow. And I would remind you that in 2013, we made an extraordinary commitment to both teacher leadership and compensation and to property tax relief. And we have upheld our commitments to local governments. So we have standing appropriation for teacher leadership and compensation. We have a standing appropriation for the property tax relief. This is something that a lot of people are skeptical. Would the state make good on those commitments? We have made good on those commitments. So I'm really proud of that. Even in this very tight budget, we made good on all of those commitments. Well, the legislature put significant oversight into that. But what I would point out is that if we don't implement managed care, which virtually all the other states, most of the other states have done, the big states like New York, California, Illinois, they've done this. And if we don't do it, the growth in Medicaid, even with the savings that come from a better managed system that really helps coordinate services and improve the health of Iowans on Medicaid, even with that, Medicaid is the second biggest growth area of the budget next to K through 12 public education. Well, we have already supported it and it's in place. The point that I would make is if the legislature decides they don't want to do this, then they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do for education and everything else, because Medicaid will eat up virtually all the growth in the budget. So what we're doing is what we have to do. But I think it's also the right thing to do because it's designed to improve the health of Iowans. Well, we intend to address that next year because, first of all, this year, Linda is already working to raise some private money for some pilot projects that would be done this summer. But then we get into the year after, which would be 2017-18. And I expect that schools would want some additional help to pay for those summer programs. And I would expect that that would be one of the things that we'd be addressing when we present the biennial budget to you at this time a year from now. So I would just ask you to wait to hear what we're going to do about that. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited about this. I think this is the biggest and boldest agenda we've ever had. And I think, well,
What do you think about this issue where this being asked about?
first of all, when you run for president of the United States, I guess any question is fair game, you know, so let the people decide. Thank you.